Where are we now when we listen to the teachings of the Book of Light? We stand on holy ground. Dear friends, we are in the presence of the Mahachohan, who dictated the Book of Light to me. And of course it is based on the principles of Madame Blavatsky's work, The Secret Doctrine. But the time has come to lift the veil. And you may not know that, dear friends, but Blavatsky's original title of the book Isis Unveiled was Isis Veiled. And the editor said, oh, there's another title who is the same book with the same title. We may have problems there concerning the rights, so we rename your book Isis Unveiled. You see? So Isis now, the veil taken away. But this was not what Blavatsky meant and wrote. She wrote still about Isis veiled. If anything, if any Isis or secret is unveiled, it is in the Book of Light, and this is why it was necessary to be written, or rather to be dictated to me. Dear friends, we think here towards the unthinkable, and it is a spiritualizing force. And you cannot do that without even open yourself more to that secret, to that source where we came from. In man there is something unutterable, a link, a communication. And that leads us from outside to inside. Now, we are on the outside now, but we should not get lost in that situation. But we have to reconnect to our inner core, to our heart of being, so to speak. And this is the mystery that we will find, that we will discover with the Book of Light. We have three fundamental teachings or sources emanating from one. We can and we should reconnect with that link that has been broken since Atlantean times, more or less, through immoral behavior. We must transcend the powers of ordinary intellect, and thus we reach that innermost source of us. So here are questions and answers. Again, where should we strive to? Towards the inward, towards the inmost. What is that? It's the infinite principle of all. What happened from this principle? Well, everything sprung into manifestation. And when everything ends, everything will be withdrawn into nirvana, or into the refuge, as the great Buddha called it, into that place from where everything awakes anew. So there is no first beginning and no first end. There's the reawakening of powers, dear friends. Like you go to bed, you wake up in the next morning. And it's still the same you, so to speak, in that comparison. What is that inmost link? With what does it connect us? With the unutterable. You should be aware of the fact that the final secret is beyond description. That doesn't mean that you can't be it. But when you are it, you will not find words to describe it, dear friends. Excuse, please, the imperfect way of me trying to explain what has been dictated to me. The Indians had a term that said self, that was often mistranslated in soul. Now ask me, What is the Sanskrit word? It is Atman. And it is the highest in the human entity. It is the upper end of the link. What is Paramatman? Well, this is beyond Atman. It is where that self comes from, emanates from, reawakes from, period after period, over and over and over again. That is Paramatman. What is man really? He has everything in himself. He is child of earth, child of heaven. But the source that manifests on the planes is the monad, experiencing existence as stone, plant, animal, man, deva, angel, God, and return to the source. What is that remark of the Bhagavad Gita when it says, the soul which is not moved, the soul that with a strong and constant calm takes sorrow and takes joy indifferently? Well, dear friends, that will be a liberated soul almost, that cannot be attached to good and evil, to this or that, but it becomes observative, just seeing everything without judging it. Now these are beautiful words, dear friends, because they can also be mistranslated. And so we must go deeper into detail concerning the teaching of the Book of Light, because occult science has been abused since the death of Madame Blavatsky. Why do we find in the Bhagavad Gita the words bull of man? Well, because such a bull, such a strong man, is the same in pain and pleasure. And this is the immortal part of us, dear friends. The Book of Light makes us immortal in that it enables us to detach from the mortal, to become not attached to the mortal, and thus to attain more and more and more immortality. What is immortality? Something that has been created and it doesn't end, it doesn't exist. Such an endlessness does not exist. Only that, dear friends, which was always there, is uncreated, timeless, eternal, with no beginning and no end. That is you, in essence. And the Book of Light shall lead you there. What is the Sanskrit word for that? Well, it is Tat. The Vedic sages say this is the unutterable principle. But the Book of Light teaches Tattvam Asi is not yet the highest. Because when you say, that am I, then you have reached something that is still in the realm of the transient. May it be the highest supermonad as taught in the Book of Light. Don't think too much now about this problem. It will come to you, the solution. And the answer is, when you ask yourself, who am I? You better ask, who am I not? What remains is the answer. What are you not? Everything that arises and passes away, you can't be. Otherwise you wouldn't be aware of the arising and passing away. So you are not the body, you have a body. What about the sages of olden times? What did they do? They left us their teaching, though in veiled, in allegorized form. Fairy tale for the rebel, truth for the few. And that teaching was that which is now reawakened fully in the Book of Light. We have the Upanishads, and we have other fantastic, wonderful Vedic literature written in those days. But the Book of Light is now the final link, the final step, the final revelation for the Mahamanvantara of the entire universe, for this Mahamanvantara, which is about still 150 billion years until everything disappears again to the source from where it left about 150 billion years ago or more. All in all, a time span of 311 billion, 40 million, sorry, I was wrong. You see there why the Maha Chohan called me many times the fool when dictating the Book of Light. The whole time period for the entire universe is 311 trillion, 40 billion years. I just used the word billion because I'm German, and for Germans, the American trillion is billion. So now then, for English people, lifetime of the universe, from reawakening out of the source to redisappearance, 311 trillion, 40 billion years. More of half of that time has passed, and we are on the ascending arc again. So the ancient left us that teaching, now reawakened in the Book of Light. It is nothing new. The truth is in the past, not in the future. And dear friends, Book of Light repeats over and over again, there is only one truth, but it has many facets. The Book of Light repeats over and over again, it is the only scripture on earth that says all religions are completely right. All sciences are right. All philosophies. If they would remove their outer sheath, the garments, so they would reach an inner core that unites them all. That union of science, religion, philosophy is the Book of Light. Therefore, Christians, Muslims, Buddhists and other religions can practice their religion, but they will now do it with more understanding of their common core which unites them. It will end the religious wars. I mentioned already the Upanishads. And there are other ancient teachings, Vedanta, so forth. Actually, it means the end of completion of the Veda. But we know by now, Tattvam Asi is not the highest. Tat is not the highest. Book of Light teaches the highest is that from where Tat or that comes from where the Supermonad comes from, the root spirit. And we will see in question and answer what this root spirit does to matter. And I may say, before all that, three things are uncreated, were always there, and will always be there. Space, root matter, and all beings, which for now we call monads as their core. So what the religions claim for their God or gods, that no one created them. If you ask a Muslim who created Allah, he said no one. If you ask a Christian who created your God, he says no one. Well, we claim that for everything. Everything was never created. It exists always and just changes its form periodically.